We're very excited to have the president of Swiss Bionic Canada here with us tonight, as well as two PEMF professionals from Victoria, BC. They just arrived yesterday evening in Antigonish to a snowy welcome. Luckily, that didn't amount to too much, though. So Lindsay and Reed will be putting more on tomorrow with the presentation and workshop. This evening, Ali will be doing a little talk about PEMF and how it works and how it can benefit us all. She's been a pioneer in the industry for over 13 years. She's been doing presentations internationally for years. She's very passionate about PEMF, and I'm sure you'll find out tonight all about why she is so passionate. Thanks again for coming out, and I'll, without further ado, let Ali take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we turn it off?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for coming. And yes, we brought you the snow. I'm sure you haven't had any until we came from cold Ontario and warm British Columbia. And I also like to thank Anne-Marie. Where are you? Can you please stand up? She is your leader in the area for PEMF technology. She's put a lot of effort and time and passion into this technology since she was introduced to it, and has helped a lot of her clients to improve their health and quality of life. And I also like to point out Lindsay and Reed from British Columbia. Please get up. They're doing the entire island with PEMF. That's how passionate we are. So my name is Ali Ox. I'm German. I have an accent. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's part of who I am. And I will share my story with you. But first, I'd like to ask some of you, because we all have a reason why we do what we do. You know, there is a reason why I'm here and why I have invested my life and my passion for the last 13 years into this technology. And there's a reason why you are here. Can I ask you why you're here tonight? Perfect. So she's here to get more information for her husband and her brother-in-law. Do you have a system already? No. Okay, perfect. And can I ask you why you're here?
Just to get information, personal reasons, and a friend used it, Anne-Marie.
Perfect. Okay, so she has a friend that already used it and she's curious. So perfect. Thank you for sharing that with me. So I tell you my story. 13 years ago, I was a mess. Hard to imagine now. I was a mess in more ways than one, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I would say I was a representative of 80% of the people in North America today that suffer from chronic conditions and don't find relief within the conventional medical system. You're nodding, true, right? Okay. So I can list a few. Maybe you can recognize some of them within yourself. So I had severe back pain, had that for years. You're nodding. Mm-hmm. I had irritable bowel. I had female issues, and I was supposed to have a hysterectomy. Now you can not. Never had it. And I like it that you guys are interactive. And then I also had severe headaches. I couldn't sleep. I had 2 shoulder injuries for which I was supposed to have surgery. I was also supposed to have a hysterectomy. Never had any of it. And I couldn't sleep. And as a result, I had no energy. I would wake up in the morning and I was what? Depressed. Because when you are in pain and when you don't sleep, you become depressed. It is a natural result that comes with it. And you know what? You don't even notice it until you're really depressed and until you don't want to do life anymore because everything becomes a drag. You want to go out for dinner? Well, don't you know I have irritable bowel? I have no energy. I didn't sleep. I'm depressed, right? And people don't understand that because to them, you are not missing a limb. What's wrong with you? You've got it all together still. And this is the story of 80% of the people in North America. And so at that time, I was working as a personal support worker, looking after older people. I'm sure that caused a lot of my conditions. But I'm very proud of having done or worked in this profession because it builds character. It has also helped me build a lot of compassion for people with chronic conditions. And I also wasn't making a lot of money because it doesn't pay very well. And so then I was introduced to pulsating electromagnetic fields through a girlfriend of mine that I went to school with in Germany. And that's like umpteen years ago. It goes back to 1925. No, I'm kidding you. And because this girlfriend of mine, I trusted, just like you trust Anne-Marie, a lot of you trust Anne-Marie with your health. And if I lived here, she would be my only choice. That much I have learned. And so this girlfriend of mine introduced me to PEMF. I didn't have a clue what it was. I didn't know how it worked, but I was desperate because I had exhausted every option possible, from massage therapy to anything that you can possibly imagine. Chiropractic, pills, prescription drugs. I've done it all with no result. And so then I bought one of those systems without knowing how it worked. And I was scared shitless, I have to say. Really, really, because to me it was a lot of money, right? Like they run between $4,000 and $6,000. And as a personal support worker, I had to put it on my credit card. And I tell you a little secret. As soon as it was on my credit card, I was nervous. Very nervous. Right? Did I spend my money on something that wouldn't work again and again? All right? And a lot of people can relate to that. So then my PEMF system arrived, and it wasn't long until I realized drastic changes. And you know what the first one was? I could sleep. I hadn't been able to sleep for 2 years properly. I could sleep, all right? And sleep is the foundation of good health. Absolutely. So, and then the next thing I noticed is that my back pain was getting better. Then my irritable bowel, my whole body began to balance itself. And then the people in my circle who have known me with all my condition that I had, they noticed it too. You know that herbal essence commercial, I want to have what she has? Yeah. So they wanted to know what I'm up to. And I'm like, me little Allie, personal support worker. Nobody knows me. Right? And all of a sudden, everybody wanted to know what I was doing. And I didn't have a fancy massage table like Anne-Marie does. I had a 6-foot dining room table, and all my neighbors came, and they were lying on my dining room table, and I didn't cook anymore because I was busy with people. And then they wanted to buy one because they felt better too. And then I started emailing the company in Germany. And I thought, well, you know, they wanted to buy one. Let me find out how I can get some. And I literally harassed the company. And at that time, our CEO, who then became my best friend, he did call me back because he wanted me to stop harassing them. They were not really interested in a business in North America because they were spread all over Europe. And it's a big deal for a company to expand into the North American market. So anyway, then he decided, well, I'm just going to go to Canada and I'm going to meet her. I have never seen the falls and I can write it off as a business trip. So, and the rest of the story is beautiful. We started our business on the Soviet at Starbucks in Niagara Falls. That's why I ask wherever I go, do you guys have a Starbucks? You don't, right? No. We noticed. But you have a Tim Hortons, right? Yeah. Oh, well. So, and to this day, 13 years later, I don't have a contract. And you know why I don't have a contract? Because our CEO says there's a reason why you don't have a contract. So you cannot resign, right? So this is a beautiful story. And now we are in 57 countries. We are all over North America. We have 1.5 million people on our systems every day, none of which would ever want to part with it or do without it. So would you ever go without one, Anne-Marie? Never. Would you ever? No. Anybody else that has one that would you ever give it up? Never. Right. You know, so there is, and yet for a lot of people, they don't understand how it works, and that is what I'm here to explain to you. And I forgot, sorry, my friend back there. I'll be right back for your camera. I forgot my little remote here. Technology. So I'm here to explain to you why 80% of the people in North America suffer from chronic conditions without any resolve. Who suffers from any kind of a chronic condition? Yeah. Who doesn't sleep well at night? Wow. Who doesn't have energy all day? Any other pains, aches? We don't have to get personal. What? The pain, right. Yes, I do. I do. So, is there something in the North American healthcare system that is being ignored? Do you think? Everything. Yeah, but everything is not good enough because, you know, we're smart people. You agree? We want to learn about our body. We want to take control of our body. But how do we do that? The North American healthcare system simply deals with symptoms. That's it. Right? It doesn't deal with the cause of the problem. Where does the cause of the problem start? Anybody, any idea? See? Aha. In your cells. How many cells do you have? How many trillions? Who counted their cells this morning? You did, because you cherish your cells, right? Give me 5. You look after your cells, okay? Because that is where true health begins. And this is sometimes a far cry from when we talk about our diseases, and when we list our diseases and our pains and our aches, we don't make the connection that everything begins on the cell level. So I'm from Germany. We have a different healthcare system. So in Germany, the healthcare system, complementary and the conventional healthcare system, actually work together. Here they don't, right? It's the doctor or it's your alternative healthcare practitioner. It's either or none, right? Or you can't afford it, right? And yet they always praise the healthcare system in Canada because they say, oh, the healthcare system in Canada is free. Well, wait until you get sick. All right? It is not as free as you think it is. And this highly prescription-driven and surgery-driven healthcare system costs you a lot of tax dollars. Are you aware of that? So it's not free. It's embedded in your taxes. So in Germany, where I come from, we ask, what does it take for the human body to be healthy? Good question. Anybody know? What does it take for your body to be healthy? Be specific, my friend. Bunch of things doesn't cut it. Sleep, water, diet, good eating, yes. Exercise. Pardon? Balance. Everything is connected in your body. Right. So you listed some of the important things: water, oxygen. Amazing, nobody thought about oxygen. Right? Why? Because you're taking it for granted. You're taking everything for granted, right? That you get up, that you have water, that you can breathe, right? Gravity, light, of course. How many of you know that you need electromagnetism to survive? What is that? What do you know that the electromagnetic pardon? No. Yes, remind me later. The heart is electric. I'll get to that. Perfect. That's what she said. That's a good point. We're not quite there yet, but yes. The Earth has an electromagnetic field. You know that. Do you know that without it, you couldn't survive? A lot of people don't know that, right? Because they did zero field studies. What does that mean? You know, we put you in an isolated cage where you have no access to the electromagnetic field of the Earth. And what happens? You cannot survive, right? And I'll show you how they figured this out with the first astronaut that went in outer space. So the electromagnetic field of the Earth is essential to your health. What do I mean by that? It is essential for every one of your 75 trillion cells. Right? Because you can only ever be as healthy as your cells are. If your cells don't function properly, you experience symptoms. There's actually a whole new disease in the making that a lot of people haven't heard about, but you will hear a lot more about it. It's called mitochondrial dysfunction. That simply means your cells no longer work at their optimum level. And, you know, we were talking about good food, we were talking about good nutrition. Let me give you a little example of supplements. Who's taken supplements? Okay. Why? Yeah, good. Want to boost my body. Great. Is it working? Yeah. Exactly. That's right. So, the average North American consumes $300 worth of nutritional supplements every month. Standard figure. That means some spend nothing. There are people that spend $2,000 on supplements. Think about that. Just for a moment. Right? And they do this every month. And a lot of people don't have very much effect. Why is that? Because unless your cells work at their optimum level, your cells cannot absorb any supplements. In addition to that, a lot of the supplements are not bioavailable to your cells anyway. They're poor quality. So what you do when you have, and this is something I want you to remember. It doesn't even have anything to do with PMF, but I think it's important information for you. Go to a good nutritionist and find out what you are deficient of. And you can do that, Anne-Marie, right? Find out what you are deficient in and supplement with that and make sure that your cells work at their optimum level, because then your body can absorb it. And we have a lot of nutritionists that have actually purchased our product and recommend it to their clients, because now they actually have results. Because they supplement with what you are deficient in. There's no point in taking what your body doesn't need, correct? And the same is like with food. Your body cannot absorb the nutrients. Oxygen. We all take oxygen for granted. How well can your body utilize the oxygen? You don't know that. Are you going to put yourself on an oxygen meter every day? Do you? No. But if your cells don't work at their optimum level, they cannot utilize the oxygen. And if we had an oxygen meter here, and we would put you on an hour system, after 8 minutes we could show how the oxygen utilization improves in your body simply by using a PMF system. Pretty brilliant, right? Among a lot of other things. So, going back to the electromagnetic field of the Earth and how important that is for your health. It's pretty obvious that if you were living on the moon, you couldn't survive because nothing grows on the moon. There's no electromagnetic field of the Earth on the moon. And they found that when they sent out the first, this was actually the beginning of pulsating electromagnetic field technology for human use. When the first astronaut went in outer space, when he returned, he was only out there like an hour and a half or so. When he returned, he had a series of conditions. So that means if there's no electromagnetic field of the Earth, you can become seriously sick within an hour and a half. And he had depression, he had severe osteoporosis, and a whole host of other conditions. And that is when NASA started to develop pulsating electromagnetic fields, or else they would have never been able to send another astronaut in outer space, because they couldn't survive there. And then they also invented pulse electromagnetic field for human use, right? And for example, our company, 30 some odd years in business. I joined the company 13 years ago. And our CEO, a former hockey player in Germany, professional hockey player in Germany, he developed at the age of 27 lymphoma. Had his surgery, didn't recover properly. You know, he was like, you know, he couldn't get into gear, he didn't have energy, he didn't get better, he didn't gain weight. And he was introduced to pulse electromagnetic field technology. And back then, you know, unlike what our technology is today, fully advanced, back then it was just like a box with an off and on button. That was it. And he used it, didn't understand it, but he got better. And that was the important thing. And he has committed his life to PMF technology, right? So we have a company in Germany, we have a company in Asia, we have a company in Switzerland, and he lives in Switzerland, and we hope someday he will come here and speak to you, right? You'll see real passion. 30 years of passion. And so then, actually, this technology itself comes from Russia, right? And so we have picked it up, and we have the IMS, and we have the Omnium. So primarily here in this area, people have an Omnium, right? Because it's the lesser expensive system with the same effect as our flagship, right? And we'll talk in more detail about it. So, now, in order to understand not only that you need the electromagnetic field of the Earth every day, but why is it so deficient? Or, in other words, why do you not have full access to the electromagnetic field of the Earth? For a number of reasons. Okay, the electromagnetic field of the Earth is a static field. And you need this in a pulsating form to affect your cell metabolism and get your cells to function at the optimum level. So way back, in hunter-gathering societies, when people would walk an average of 25 kilometers a day just to get food, and they would walk barefoot on the grass. There was no Wi-Fi, there were no concrete buildings, they didn't drive in cars with rubber tires or in shoes with rubber soles. They had full access to the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and they turned it into a pulsating field just by walking every day. We don't do that anymore. Nobody is walking 25 kilometers, and even if you did, you'd be walking on concrete, surrounded by wireless and other forms of radiation in your environment, okay? The new age technology. So the electromagnetic field of the Earth is also interfered with wireless and other forms of radiation. How many of you have a cell phone? Huh? More than they have an Omnium. All right? Isn't that amazing? There are people that don't feel well, but they have a cell phone that is making them sick. There are people that don't feel well, but they watch TV every day. There are people that have a lot of chronic conditions. What do? They're on the internet all day. And they pay money for it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just like to put things in perspective. Pay for your cell phone, you pay for your internet, you pay for your TV channels, and while you're sitting there, you're being Wi-Fi'd all day long. We are the generation of Wi-Fi'd people. And you're paying for it. Get that. Let that sink in. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the milk, when you hear the milk truck, it doesn't affect your cells. But when you've got a cell phone tower outside, or you've got a router in your home, right? Or when you are in an airplane, or when you have a microwave that you use, these are the frequencies that are outside of the biological window of human cell frequencies, and they change your DNA. What does that mean when your DNA is being changed? Your cells no longer communicate. Your cells can no longer function at their optimum level, and you get sick with a whole host of conditions. It's called electromagnetic sensitivity, and we're all sensitive to some degree or another. And there's a whole host of symptoms such as fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, depression, anxiety, poor sex life. The whole nation suffers from poor sex life. No energy, all kinds like diabetes, heart rhythm issues. I mean, the list goes on of symptoms that we experience. But when we experience these symptoms, we go to our doctor and we tell our doctor that we have these problems, what does your doctor do? If there's a pill for it, you'll get it. And you still don't know the source of your problem. And once you've taken that pill long enough, and it doesn't help you that much anymore, what do? You get stronger ones. And before you know it, you need one for your kidney, you need one for your liver, and the list goes on. And this is, don't get me wrong, I'm not bitching about the medical or medicine, all right? I just want you to be aware the stream the medical system has taken on. It is no longer a healthcare system. It's a sickness care system, all right? But you have control over your own health on the cell level if, number one, you understand your cells. Number two, you understand that you need healthy cells to have quality of life. Because true anti-aging from the inside out is healthy cells. And you need to understand that, right? So, let's learn a little bit about yourself. Cells. You have, yourself and your cells is the same thing. You have 75 trillion cells. Every cell has a frequency. Because every cell has a sodium-potassium pump. Every cell has a metabolism. Every cell creates an electromagnetic field. And everything that creates an electromagnetic field also creates a frequency. Right? Now we're getting to your point. So, because of that, your 75 trillion cells have a biological window of human cell frequencies, which is between 0.5 and 28 hertz. That's all you need to remember tonight. It's not a lot. I'm not asking you a lot. Okay. Biological window of human cell frequencies under which all your 75 trillion cells fall. Between 0.5 and 28 hertz. So, when you look at your outlet, in Canada you have 60 hertz. Correct? Is that within the biological window of your human cell frequencies? No. With the invention of electricity over 150 years ago, that was also the beginning of a lot of chronic conditions that we have not seen before. So I give you an example, fibromyalgia. Perfect example. Here in North America, when you have pain everywhere and you go to your doctor, you're going to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia. It's a catch-all. Everybody that has pain everywhere goes in that. And then you're being treated for fibromyalgia. And there is no treatment. There really isn't. I don't care what anybody tells you. There isn't. A lot of the diseases we're talking about isn't even a disease. And I'm glad you brought that up because one of my favorite, I'm going to get back to fibromyalgia in a minute. One of my favorite line is, and I've learned this in my 13 years in North America. North Americans love their diseases. They want to be diagnosed. You're laughing. It's true. They want to be diagnosed. They want to tell you, I have migraines. They want to tell you, I have my fibromyalgia. I have cancer. I have this. They want to diagnose because they believe there's a treatment. And then they get frustrated when they find out that all they got is a pill for the symptom. You guys love your diseases. And you hear people talk. I have a problem with my fibromyalgia. My diabetes presents problems for me. My headache, my this, my sleeplessness. So then these people become the disease. And the same is cancer. I don't even believe cancer is a disease, you know. All our diseases point in one direction. There is something that is going on the cell level. Because, let me put it in another way and ask you this: if all your cells would work at their optimum level, what would happen? You'd be healthy. You got energy. You've got better quality of life. You can reduce pain and inflammation. No, it's not a miracle mat. Pretty darn close to it, but it isn't one, right? So, back to fibromyalgia. In Japan, the same disease is called something very different. Because there was a study done in Japan on fibromyalgia. There's actually life outside of North America. There's things happening. There's stuff going on outside of North America. Well, but Canada is part of North America. I'm not going to get political. I don't do orange. No, I'm not orange. So this study, huge study, and the fibromyalgia in Japan is called magnetic field deficiency syndrome. And you know why? Because they found that people who live more or less, we call it off the grid. So what's off the grid? Like people that are not exposed, to wireless and other forms of radiation. So they live like, they took prospects to the beach, right? Or in the mountains, away from wireless and other forms of radiation. And they were barefoot, there was no hotel, there were no power lines, there were no microwaves. Symptoms disappeared. And the same is true when people use our pulse electromagnetic field system. It is actually the only thing that helps with fibromyalgia. It's just some fibromyalgia people don't want to pay. So, going back to your cells and learning about their frequencies. So we learned that there's a biological window of human cell frequencies between 0.5 and 28 hertz. You already know that electricity is outside of the biological window. And now when we get into cell phones, computers, cell phone towers, these frequencies are way outside. They're in the gigahertz, megahertz range. And the magnetic field of the Earth is 11.75 to 11.79 hertz. Is it a surprise that it is within the biological window of human cell frequency? Is not, right. Schumann resonance, identical with one organ in your brain, same frequency, right? So it's all connected. We are much more electromagnetic beings than we are mechanical or chemical beings, right? So bioelectricity or biophysics is where medicine will turn to, will have to turn to, and I'm not going to wait that long, right? Until a doctor tells me I should use a PEMF system. It's not going to happen. You know why? Not in a long time. Because this healthcare system that you have in North America can only make money if you're sick. It can't make money if you're healthy or if you're dead. So you choose what you want to be, dead or healthy. It's your choice. Yeah. When somebody says to me, oh, $4,000 for a PEMF system, you know what I sometimes say? You know what, my friend? It's cheaper than a coffin. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's right. Okay, so, And why are these frequencies that have become part of our lives, from wireless, from computers, from cell phone towers, why are they so detrimental to our health? Very simple. Our cells cannot resonate with those frequencies. And these frequencies change our DNA. While resonance frequencies, frequencies that are identical to the human cell frequencies, your cells can resonate with their own frequency, such as what's coming out of a low frequency based pulsed electromagnetic field system. And your cells resonate because it's the same frequencies that are coming out of our mat. Your cells resonate with those frequencies, and DNA is restored. Cell function is restored. Why is that important? Because if you let your cells be exposed without counteracting, you're gonna get sick. You need to rebalance and recalibrate your cells. You need to energize your cells. They're like batteries. You need to recharge them, or you're gonna be depleted. 80% of people in North America are depleted. They don't know why. You know why it is so difficult to make the connection to these frequencies that we are exposed to every day? Because you can't feel them, you can't see them, you can't taste them, and you can't smell them. Because you don't have an organ that can tell you when you had enough. So we live in these frequencies, we are being Wi-Fi'd. We already have Wi-Fi refugees. That's a group of people that had to move off the grid because they cannot sustain health in this environment that we're in. All right? And it is no surprise that, number one, the World Health Organization, who's reading the reports from the World Health Organization? I do. Not because I have to, because I like to. Because I like to know what's going on. Because I'm so interested in having 75 trillion healthy cells, right? And this is my passion. And it has been for 13 years. So you're interested in everything to do with it. So the World Health Organization, the report used to say 1 out of 4 people will get cancer, okay? That has been revised. 1 out of 2. And then everybody looks at everybody and thinks, oh, it's going to be me, it's not going to be me, it's going to be you, all right? This is what people think. It's not going to be me, it's the other person, all right? And when the report said 1 out of 4, they would say, oh, well, doesn't have anything to do with me, I don't get it. And they would say, I've got good genes and all this kind of stuff. Well, environment trumps genes right now when it comes, and I don't mean Donald Trump, by the way, when it comes to cell health, right? So it is also no surprise that insurance companies are starting to exclude diseases arising from electromagnetic field exposure, EMF exposure. Okay, they're excluding it, beginning with tumors from cell phones. That's like everybody knows that if you use your cell phone too much and you don't use a speakerphone, you can get a brain tumor. You know what my dad says to me? Never touched one of those damn things, right? My dad's 86. He never touched a cell phone. Doesn't want to have anything to do with the cell phone. And he lives too. But what my dad doesn't understand, that even though he doesn't have one, everybody else has one. And if you turn on your cell phone and you see 5, 10, I don't know how many you have here, wireless companies that offer you their services, then you know how many are flooding around here that you are affected by, right? And there is only so much you can do to protect yourself. And now it's even going to get worse. 5G is on the way. And every other house will have it in their front door. And if you are not aware what you can do, you know, and people say, oh, I'm going to protest, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go to the MP. I done all that. I work with all our MPs. The industry has, the telecommunication industry has so much money and so much power, just like the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm here to tell you, unless some very important, rich people die of it, they don't care about us, do they? We know that, right? And so nothing much is going to change, except that we get people who are sicker and sicker. And insurance companies know that. I've spoken to insurance companies. They know that. They protect themselves. It's just like, you know, if they're in a hurricane area, you know, you have to have a waiver, or you're not protected. If you're in an area where there are a lot of floods, do you have flood insurance? And the next thing will be, do you have insurance for wireless exposure? And it'll be very, very expensive riders, right? We have a hospital in Toronto. It's called the Women's College Hospital. And they have an entire department solely dedicated to electromagnetic sensitivity, where they treat it, right? So, and we are all affected by it. It is just that we cannot make the connection in simple terms when you wake up in the morning and you have no energy, and you have no energy, and you have no energy, and you have pain, and you have pain. We cannot make the connection that if we were at the beach, away from all this, we would have the energy. If we were connected to the electromagnetic field of the earth, we would have the energy. Our cells would have the energy to replicate themselves into healthy cells, instead of dying off because we are exposed to wireless and other forms of radiation. And all our chronic conditions usually come with pain and with inflammation. Inflammation causes pain. So if you have optimum cell function, you reduce pain and you reduce inflammation. Why? Because you activate the body's ability to heal and repair itself on the cell level. And you know what I just did? I told you something that is so old. I'm not even telling you anything new. Our body has always worked like that. Our cells have always worked like that. Our minds just have to become cluttered with all the latest research about A, B, C, and D. Right? Today this is good, the next day that is good. But the magnetic field of the earth has always been beneficial, and has always been the driving energy behind our 75 trillion cells. It's never been any different, right? So everybody understand frequencies, cell function. That's why a pulsed electromagnetic field system, when you lie on it, it doesn't care what you have. I hate to tell you that. It just cares about your whole body, the whole body mat, because the whole body mat touches all your 75 trillion cells. And the pillow is for localized areas of pains and aches. And it doesn't care what you have. Whether you have an upset stomach or whether you have ovarian cancer, whether you have a cough or whether you have lung cancer. It doesn't care. Isn't that nice? I love it. It just cares about the cells in that area. That's all it does. And you put it on there, and it reduces pain, it reduces inflammation, it increases blood circulation, it utilizes oxygen, so your body can repair. How does your body repair? I think we all forgot that. Very simple. Your cells replicate themselves. If your cells work at their optimum level, they can replicate themselves into healthy cells, and the body can repair. If that doesn't happen, and you have a disease can only go two ways. Get better or worse. It never stays the same. Right? Okay. So it also, when you're exposed to wireless and other forms of radiation, apart from affecting the DNA, it also disrupts cell metabolism, energy production, melatonin. If you went on a PMF system for 8 minutes tonight, and maybe some of you who don't have one, I'd like you to do that. And then you go home, and maybe you're going to come back tomorrow to our other event, and you tell me how you slept. I want to hear that, right? And circadian rhythm, right? So this is what wireless and other forms of radiation does. And we shouldn't be surprised if we all don't feel well, if we get sick, if our children have ADD. Yes, they say it's from immunization. I believe that's in a large part true. But at the heart of it, look at the kids today. It's like, right? They're constantly on the phone. They're burning their pillows with their phone because they're afraid of turning them off in case they miss something. Right? We are like a totally wired nation being Wi-Fi'd. But we accept it as normal. And a lot of people will say, yeah, I know it's bad for me. Okay, you know what's bad for you. You know that. What are you willing to do about it? Are you? Are you willing to take control of your health on the cell level? Are you? Oh, yes. Right. Exactly. Right? So, lucky enough, we are a company who has actually received the medical device license by Health Canada for our flagship, which is the IMAS, which we don't have here now, because you are Omnium people here, and that's good. And the Omnium has the same application as the IMAS. And the PMF application on the Omnium is called IMAS, right? And I can see some of you cringing their faces saying, you just told me that all this technology with tablets and phones and what have you is no good, and here you come with a tablet. What's wrong with you? Nothing. This doesn't need any wireless connection to run it. Okay? Do you remember the old computers where you could actually use any program on the computer before we had the internet? Am I the only one that old here that remembers that? Must be. No. So, you don't need to be on the internet. The only time you go on the internet with our tablet is when we send you a notification that there are upgrades. And then you just go and update, and you go right off into flight mode or totally disconnect from the internet. So it's an application that runs off the tablet. And yes, you can use it like a computer. You can store all your information. If you want to go on the internet, you can email. Most people just use it for the PMF and for the brain entrainment, right? And so PMF And this is sort of we needed to come up with this, and we're the only company in the world who has actually been able to produce an Android-based PMF system. And we're very proud of it, and we have satisfied a lot of our clients with it, in spite of some of the technical difficulties that we had. But a lot of our people are happy because it's the only system. You can charge it and you can run it for 6 hours. You don't need to be plugged into an outlet. You can use it in your car, in your RV, on the plane. Like when I drive long distance, I just sit on it. And you could use it like that on the plane, when you watch TV, when you sit in your backyard, when you go to work, right? So there are many ways in which you can use it. And we had like a demand from people for a more portable system. It's also nice to have it at home because you can take it from one room to another and you don't have cables, you don't need an outlet. You know, you can fold it into a small package. It goes with you anywhere. And believe me, life will never be the same again, and you will never want to part with it. So PMF has also been approved by the FDA or Health Canada respectively for depression, wound healing, the healing of non-union bone fractures, brain tumors, and more. Right? And that shouldn't surprise you because of what we talked before, cell, right? So, ideal for people with osteoporosis, among other things. It's because cells, when they're healthy, they replicate themselves into healthy cells. So anybody clear on that? Why? No. No, we don't. No, we actually want you to pay for it because it's the only way we know you use it. Some insurance companies do pay for it. We're not working with them because, you know, it's like acupuncture. How long did it take until insurance companies would cover acupuncture? Years. Right? It's not an overnight thing. So some insurance companies have paid for it depending on what insurance company you're with. Not only that, but also what benefit package you have. And usually the more expensive package you have, the better your chances of your insurance covering part of it, right? But it's like anything else. And they said like insurance companies, for instance, when they cover a treadmill, you know, after a car accident, they buy you a treadmill. How can they control that you use it? They can't. All right? Or when you yourself, when you buy a treadmill, they make treadmills foldable. So you can put it under your bed and forget about it. Then you don't feel guilty that you didn't use it, right? So with a PMF system, because you feel better, we actually prefer if you pay for it, because then you're going to use it. Like anything for free is just that. Look at all the tax dollars that are being spent on free medication in retirement homes. It's a cash cow in there. All the refills. These people are pumped with medication because they're managed, right? By medication. Your tax dollars at work, right? Anything. It's anything like that. You know, it's like buy all-you-can-eat buffet. How much crap do people put there? How much crap do people eat when they go to them? Like seriously, think about it. Right? So, okay. So here is how it works in its most simplest form. This is one of your cells. You have How many? Did you forget? Good. 75 trillion cells. What's the job of your cell? To absorb minerals that come from food, supplements, whatever it may be, nutrients, and oxygen. Okay? So the job of your cell is also to utilize oxygen and transport oxygen to your tissue and to your organs. So when that happens, organ function improves. Liver function, kidney function, heart function, everything improves. And it's the job of your cell to eliminate toxin and carbon dioxide and water. That's what your cells are supposed to do. So because every cell has a sodium-potassium pump, it also has, every cell has a minus and a plus. Right? And every cell, by sheer trying to do its job, creates an electromagnetic field. An electromagnetic field with a particular frequency. What's the biological window of human cell frequencies again? Can't hear you. Perfect. Okay. So, when you lie, and here's the thing, when you lie on a PEMF system, what comes out of this mat is an electromagnetic field by way of triple sawtooth waveform. Very important. We are the only company that has a triple sawtooth waveform. That's important when you Google, and when you Google you find a lot of misinformation. That's why you're here, so you learn the basics. And triple sawtooth waveform. 3 waveforms on top of each other, creating a smorgasbord of human cell frequencies at the same time. If you're an electrician, you know what I'm talking about. You're nodding. Are you an electrician? No. No? No. But you understand it. Mm-hmm. So, and when you lie on it, we have 6 coils, copper coils. Very expensive copper coils. Why do I say that? Because the quality of copper is imperative to the performance of your PEMF device. Very important. And the magnetic field density, meaning the copper windings, are stronger in the foot area than they are in the head area. Why? Because we replicate the magnetic field of the Earth. And if you were to walk on the magnetic field of the Earth, your feet would be closer to the ground than your head, correct? Right. So that's why it's important when you lie on it, you always lie with your head where the cord comes out, on the whole body mat, right? And so it produces the signal, and it takes 8 minutes. And I'm going to show you something so you can, I'm just going to take off for a little while. No, I'm not. So you can learn how your cells actually behave. If I'm lucky. Yes. Okay, these are metronomes. And it is a replication of what your cells do. So imagine these are all your cells, or a cross-section. Couldn't put 75 of them on there. And if you see, they're all over the place. They're never in harmony, you know, because of everything that's going on around us, including the wireless, including stress, including disturbing sound. This all puts our cells out of balance, right? And you know what that means when the body is out of balance. It doesn't perform. Cell replication is impaired, disturbed, and doesn't happen. And our cells go astray instead of doing their job. Some of them mutate and turn into cancer cells. That's how it happens, right? So if you look, this is exactly what happens when you are on a whole body map. It takes 8 minutes for all your 75 trillion cells to resonate. So it may take 10 trillion cells 2 minutes. It may take the next 30 trillion cells 3 minutes. But until they all fall into resonance, it takes 8 minutes. And that's important to know. And the effects last for 6 hours. So your cells are in resonance for 6 hours after. Because a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard that too, Anne-Marie, I don't feel anything when I'm on this mat. You're not supposed to. All right, this is North America, where everybody, like, more is better. Everybody wants to feel something, right? You're not supposed to. Because when you sit in front of your computer and you are exposed to all these frequencies that disturb your cell function, do you feel something? No. So it's not important whether or not you feel something when you're lying on this. What is important is how your body feels after you get off. Okay, because the result is not immediate. Nothing happens until a minimum of 8 minutes. That's a hard pill to swallow for North America. They would, like, if I could tell you there was it's like an exorcist and they'll lift you up in the air and throw you down again, you'd say, yay, give me 2, because now I feel something, right? So do you understand what I'm saying? It's important what you feel afterwards. Okay, so now see how more and more they move in the same direction. Is one still out of alignment? Are they all good? Nobody misbehaving? Good. So you get the picture, you get the principle. You learned something very fascinating about yourselves today, did you?
Very similar to sounding.
Resonance. Yeah.
You start off this harmonic
And that's resonance. See, another way of resonance is I walk up to you or to you. And either we resonate or we don't. Do we resonate? Sure, right? If we didn't, there would be like a wall. And you would feel it. You know what I mean? Like either you resonate with a person or you don't. The principle is at work in your life every day. And also with your cells. So now, amazing things happen with your cells for the next 6 hours. Because now they communicate with one another. So now you introduce a nutritional supplement that you have found out you are deficient of. You're not going to go and take 20, 40 bottles because somebody says you should. North Americans do that. And you know why they do that? I asked somebody, like, why do you even know whether it's working? And you know what they said? Oh, it's like an insurance, like, you know, like an insurance policy, without even knowing whether it's working. So now that your cells communicate, they can actually absorb nutrients from the food. They can eliminate toxins. Have you ever heard of doing a detox bath or something? I've never understood that. And if somebody can explain to me how that makes sense, I will gladly do it. But it hasn't made sense to me. Why would you detox heavy duty one day, and then nothing for the next 30 days. What happens on day 2? Okay, you detox, you go out, you eat, and I'm sure there are toxins in the food. What happens on day 2? So your body is naturally designed to detox every day. If you just fire up your cells, it will do that. And you can detox every day gently, which is the most natural for the human body, to gently detox, right? And now your body can absorb the oxygen, and it can utilize the oxygen to your entire body. And your cells can replicate into new healthy cells. That's why a lot of people that have consistently used the PEMF, almost all of them notice that all of a sudden their eyesight is a bit better, their hair grows faster, their nails, their skin is better. So these are the external signs of good health, right? And what's going on inside of your body when organ function improves. But you know what's the best part? You got energy. You can sleep. You can heal. You can repair. You wake up in the morning. You have energy. You're ready to do life. This is exactly what happened to me. You know, like nobody wanted to have anything to do with me when I was a mess. Right? I didn't want to have anything to do with anybody because everybody was a bother to me because I didn't feel good. Simple as that. Wasn't my fault, right? And then I began, and I started working out again, and I did life again, and I got excited again. So everything changed because I also slept. But not this sleep that most people have where you wake up every 2 or 3 hours and you can't get a good REM sleep, because not just about sleep, it's also about the quality of sleep, right? It's not just about PEMF, it's about a quality PEMF system that has the research behind that it will actually do what it says it does. Because anything else is a waste of money. Would you agree? Because to me, $500 would be too much for a PEMF system if it didn't do what it says it does, all right? So let's all be on the same page, all right? There's lots of things out there that we spend money that didn't do anything, correct? In our desperation to get better, we all do it. Okay, so here's the amazing thing. This is called dark field microscopy. Anybody familiar with it? You know what it is. Okay. Is a live blood analysis. So it's simply somebody pokes your finger, puts your blood under the microscope. And before you go on a PEMF system, and all our blood cells look like that. They're all clumped together. They have no membrane surface, so they cannot replicate. They cannot absorb nutrients. They cannot utilize oxygen. They cannot detox because they all stick together. They don't flow freely. And after 8 minutes on a PEMF system, this is what your cells look like, right? For 6 hours, then you go on it again. Twice a day. It has to become like brushing your teeth. Very important. I mean, some of us miss like a day here, or sometimes you miss it in the morning. But contrary to what people think, oh, I didn't get on it this morning for 8 minutes, I'm going to do 16 minutes tonight. You are better off doing 8 minutes twice a day than you are 16 minutes once a day. Right? Because the effects last for 6 hours. And overnight, your cells, they rest and restore, so you don't need PEMF overnight. Right? Okay. Next. Okay. And this is what it looks like if you could see the energy or the magnetic field emitted from the mat, okay? The feet area, larger electromagnetic field, more magnetic field intensity or density, and less in the head area. And you can actually, we have a meter, I didn't bring it, but you can measure that. You can put a body on here and you can measure with an electromagnetic field meter how this goes through the body. There are also cell phone applications that you can measure it with, and where you can make magnetic fields audible, so you can hear it with a human ear. So we are also the only device that has what's called a Chinese organ clock, or another word for it would be biorhythm, respecting, the different organs. Didn't mean to do that. How your organs function and which organs are active at particular time of the day. You don't need to worry about that. Automatically built in. Once you get your system, you set the time, and the system automatically knows what time of day it is and what frequencies to expose you to. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. We're also the only device that automatically changes magnetic field direction, meaning from north to south pole. Also very important. And a lot of people in the PEMF industry will say, oh, you need all the different frequencies in accordance with the organ clock, when in fact they don't even have a built-in organ clock, and they make it up with trying to give you selective frequencies where you can pick your own frequencies. But nobody actually acknowledges the fact that for the body to not get used to a PMF device or a magnetic field and always have the same effects, you need to change the magnetic field direction. Very important to prevent habituation, because that's the real way to prevent habituation, okay? So that you get the same effect every time. Are you with me on that? You understand that? Good, perfect. So, our cells vibrate. We have established that. Our cells have a frequency. So therefore, they also have a voltage. A healthy cell has minus 70 to minus 100 millivolt. Put in another way, this is the voltage your cell would need to perform its job so that your body can repair and regenerate. Minus 70 to minus 100 millivolt. We'll get into your heart in a minute. Remember, her and I, we had this discussion about the heart at the onset of, yeah, I haven't forgotten about you. So, athletes, their cell voltage is minus 120 or so, or more. Why? Because they're constantly active, right? They're constantly exercising. So they have much healthier cells than we do. They just suffer from a lot more injuries because of what they do. But the actual cell function, so I would assume they get a lot less cancer than the average person would, because their cell charge, as long as they work out, their cell charge is always high. Now let's talk about the heart, my favorite topic. Your heart cells are constantly pumping. They're constantly active. So the cell charge is higher. It's at least minus 120 millivolt all the time. That is why there is no cancer as a primary cancer. No cancer of the heart has never existed. Have you ever thought about that? We hear all kinds of cancer. Why hasn't there ever been primary cancer of the heart? Because those cells are always busy. because the heart also creates the largest electromagnetic field in the human body. Remember when we said like every cell that has a charge also creates an electromagnetic field on its own? Well, all the cells in the heart, you know, when they are minus 120, they create the largest 3D electromagnetic field of the human body. And when, you remember how you always told, I mean, I grew up in Germany, like I had a German dad. Think with your head. And I was always the oddball, because that didn't work for me, thinking with my head. And you know why that is? Because your heart's magnetic field is larger than that of the brain. So when you receive information, your heart gets the information before your brain does. So your heart knows what's right or wrong before your brain does. Interesting, right? And that is resonance, right? That's why you can experience resonance. You can go up to a person. You don't even have to be close to that person, because you got this huge field. And you either resonate with that person or you don't. So diminished cells, 60 millivolt. Chronic illness, 40 millivolt. Cancer cells, minus 20 or less millivolt. So, raise your cell charge, raise your health. It's that simple, right? It's all about energy, about the energy that your cells need to do their job, right? So, and this is our flagship, and this is the Omnium. So I explain a little bit about the Omnium, and then you can ask all the questions that you want. How's that? Great? Good. Okay. I want to give you what you want or need. Okay. So, the whole body mat, everybody understands what the whole body mat does. Yes? Okay. So this is just like an Android phone, right? Nothing complicated about it. We made it so simple for you. So for the whole body mat, you have 5 programs. Relaxation, performance, activation, sleep, and regeneration. And all you do is have to press one of the programs, and it automatically starts, and it stops when you're done. Does it get any simpler than that? No. It's a minimum of 8 minutes, right? But the question is good. It's a minimum of 8 minutes, and some of the programs, for instance, relaxation, you want an added benefit. You want optimum cell function so that your cells can replicate and the body can activate its healing abilities and reduce inflammation and pain and all of that. So you want that, and you get that in 8 minutes. But now, if you really want to relax, you need a bit more. But it gives you the time and the intensity for this particular program. So if you want to relax, it's 24 minutes, right? That doesn't mean you have to be on for 24 minutes. But a lot of people like it when they get used to their PEMF system, and they like to use it longer. So then you would use these programs to achieve particular results. So for instance, sleep is 24 minutes, right? So I use it in the evening, and I don't always stay on for 24 minutes. I kind of look, and then I think, I want to go to bed now. But I always make sure that I have my 8 minutes for sure. And then when I feel like it, like sometimes I lie on there and I read a book and I got into it, and I'm into the book, and then, pardon? And then I finish reading, and then I have my 24 minutes, right? So it's all individually, but I always make sure I get my 8 minutes. Performance is a shorter program, also higher intensities, so you would use that in the morning, right? If activation in the morning, so if you want to activate your cells, it's actually very simple. You would use activation in the morning. Performance you can also use in the morning, if you really want to be with it. Or I sometimes use it in the evening before I give a presentation or something, or if I'm jet lagged, all right? Because it just, it builds you up, but it doesn't give you that artificial energy that coffee would, right? It gives you good energy because these are good frequencies. And regeneration when you're sick, when you don't feel well. Or also if you did a sports performance, you would use performance, obviously, right? So any questions on that? Intensity, okay? It gives you the time and the intensity can be a low intensity as it would be for sleep, or in the case of performance, it would gradually go up and then drop again. So it can change the intensity every 2 minutes. So it's pre-programmed, predefined, so you don't have to worry about it. And what is the difference between frequency and intensity? Frequency is like the radio station, okay? So we picked the radio station for you already. Why? Because we know what are the resonance frequencies, and we also know how to put the frequencies in accordance to the biorhythm of your cell frequencies. So we picked the radio station for you, and you pick the time, how long you want to hear the music, and the frequency would be how loud do your cells need to hear these frequencies before they respond or before they resonate. You understand that? Okay, so on the whole body mat, you wouldn't use very often high frequencies, because we're talking about all your 75 trillion cells. And so for the whole body mat, you would use up to 50 or 100 in the morning, and in the evening, you would use lower frequencies because you don't want to stimulate your cells in your whole body at a high level because you want to go to sleep, right? So you want low frequencies. So this is a whole body mat which has a triple sawtooth waveform and affects every 75 trillion cells in your body. Now the pillow and the spot have a different waveform and have a different purpose than the whole body mat. The whole body mat has to be like brushing your teeth every day to activate your cells and to stay healthy. It's also very preventative, all right? So kids go on it. Animals go on it. I put my water on it. I put my wine on it. I'm not kidding you. I put my bottle of wine on it. Yeah. I put my water on it. Why? Because it alkalines water. I put my food on it. Yes. The dogs would go automatically. You know why? We love working with animals because we don't have to do presentations. We don't have to dress up. All we do is we actually have a horse unit, like for horses or larger animals. We've even have a system in Dubai for camels. Like, I'm serious. And we have blankets for horses. And you know why we like to work with animals? Because we don't even have to talk. We just turn the system on and they automatically come to it. Because they intuitively know that they benefit from the frequencies with which their cells resonate. We don't even have to show studies or anything, right? Twice a day. No, very different. Exactly. Okay, that was a very good question. She said, you know, do you need the whole body mat twice a day? Or if I use the body mat once a day and I use any of the applicators once a day, no. You need the whole body mat twice a day for 8 minutes, about 6 hours or 8 hours apart. So if you do it in the morning, you do it in the evening, right? And sometimes on the weekend or sometimes I'm just like a normal human being like everybody. I just became the president of Swiss Bionic by sheer accident. Okay, I'm not even Ivy League material, but I'm pretty darn good at what I'm doing, right? Yeah, but so that just tells you can come from a very humble background, and if you help enough people change their lives, you help yourself too.